The first round of the Fujitsu V8 Supercar Series in Adelaide, questions were raised about driver tactics. Percat looks for the inside line down the inside, and he's bumped the back of Thompson by Taz Douglas and Jack Perkins, and they're both in the fence. And that has sent the Jayco Ford right to the back of the field. Now the series heads to the Wild West. Around this tight and technical circuit, there's bound to be a showdown. And one Bandito is back in town. And he always has both barrels loaded. Morris closing in at turn 13, gets into the back of the Tasmanian. That's Paul Morris again, can you believe it? So get ready for some good old-fashioned door-to-door V8 racing. We're really looking forward to getting the Fujitsu V8 Supercar Series off and racing this weekend at Barbagallo Raceway in the West. Former series runner-up James Moffat's my co-driver today. And James, the first round in Adelaide, a lot of drivers made mistakes and had contact with other cars, contact with walls. In such a short championship, you can't afford to make those dramas.
That's exactly right, Noon. 7 rounds in the development series, so it is a short championship, and you really can't afford a bad weekend because you play catch-up for the rest of the year. So there are a lot of guys that are probably in championship contention that had a rough weekend at Clipsal and will be looking to bounce back this weekend for sure.
It's the first time the championship has visited this track in 12 years of its history, and there's just 3 drivers who've raced a V8 Supercar at Barbagallo before. But for some of those drivers who've never been here in one of these cars, could they bounce out from the pack? Can they still be a factor?
Well, I think, the likes of 888 and Walkinshaw Racing running Andrew Thompson and Nick Percat respectively, they're going to have an advantage. There's no doubt about that because they've got a lot of data here. But I'd be looking for the smaller teams like Sonic Motor Racing and Matthew White Motorsport to still be putting on a good show.
The 2-race format is back in play this weekend for round 2 of the championship. A lot of local interest in this championship as well. But to bring you up to speed ahead of round 2, let's have a look and see what's been going on. Series leader Nick Percat and championship favourite Andrew Thompson look set this weekend to continue the deep rivalry that runs between their parent Walkinshaw Racing and 888 Camps. Percat looks for the inside line down the inside, and he's bumped the back of Thompson. After tangling at the season opener in Adelaide, these 2 young guns will be looking to re-engage this weekend.
You don't see the main game guys kind of just saying, oh, after you and after you. They race for every bit of track they can, and it's the same in this. We're here to win races, and we don't want to be kind of just letting people drive around us, drive through us. So I've put my foot down a bit and showed that I'm here to kind of race hard and fair, and hopefully get the results to go with it.
It's the first round. We've got 7 more rounds or 6 more rounds after that. So it was uncalled for, and I took it to a level that it didn't really need to go to. So, but it's happened, and that's obviously how he drives. So we're not going to go to his level. We're just going to do what we're focused on, and achieve the end goal that we set at the start of the year.
There was all sorts of commotion through the field in Adelaide. Title hopeful David Russell is now on the back foot, 11th in the championship, thanks to this incident with a back marker. And mates Jack Perkins and Taz Douglas also tripped each other over. Oh, that was tight. Taz Douglas and Jack Perkins. And it's still on, and they're both in the fence. What are the boys doing? That means Perkins has also given away critical championship points to his rivals, but that could work to his advantage.
A lot of guys are talking about the top 2 or 3, and we're down in 8th, so we're just quietly going about our business. The guys have done a great job to prepare the car again this weekend. We had a little bit of crash damage there at Adelaide, but 3rd in race 1, good signs, and we made a few improvements to the car, so looking forward to getting out there this weekend.
Paul Morris is making his first Fujitsu appearance of the year this weekend, and he's brought along some help. Hometown boxing champ Danny Green is on board with the dude to promote his upcoming fight. Together, they formed Green Machine Racing for the weekend, and Morris reckons he could deliver a few knockout blows to his younger rivals.
Yeah, we've both got a bit of a rep, so mine's on the track and his is in the ring, so combine that together, I think we can go places.
There's also a few fast Kiwis in the mix this weekend. 17-year-old Scott McLaughlin surprised many to be on the podium at the first round in Adelaide. And Daniel Gillison is 6th in the championship and has been steadily on the improve since debuting last year. Thankful to be part of last year's title-winning squad. Greg Murphy Racing.
Yeah, well, it's quite good racing with a professional team. I raced with another really good professional team back last time in the Tuaita Racing Series in New Zealand, and before that, Dad and I basically did the Formula 4s ourselves. So since we went the professional way, there's no way we're ever going to go back. It makes so much difference.
Cars taking off now on the warm-up lap for the first 28-lap race for round 2 in the Fujitsu V8 Supercar Series. James Moffat is alongside me for this one. And this track, James, 7 turns, 2.42 kilometres. In Adelaide, we had concrete walls. Here we've just got sand.
That's right, Noons. It looks simple on paper, this track, but that's far from the case. A great little race track. Very hard on the left rear tyre, and it's going to be important for these guys to manage their tyres throughout the race.
Passing opportunities, pretty much turns 1, 6, and pretty much turn 7, the last corner that we're looking at here. Good field of cars here. First time that the championship has been to Western Australia. And in Armour All qualifying, it was Andrew Thompson who took the pole. He's first in this series since Oran Park in 2007 and the 5th of his career. He picks up $1,500 with thanks to Armour All. And on the front row of the grid alongside him is Jack Perkins. Row 2 championship leader Nick Percat, the Coates Hire Commodore from Walkinshaw Racing. And a great job too, row 3 of the grid, Rodney Jane.
Yeah, absolutely. That's probably Rodney's one of his best qualifying positions. We've got the dude, Paul Morris, out of 7, so there'll be plenty of action with him in the race, I reckon.
Tim Blanchard struggling for pace in the second of the Jayco Fords. Robert Krieger, new backing for Matt Stone's team from Mad Croc this weekend. Marcus Jukanovic back with a new engine after missing the first round in Adelaide. Todd Fiore, one of the local drivers. Matt Hansen replacing Tony Bates, who's still nursing a few injuries from a Commodore Cup crash at Bathurst. Brett Stewart joins the championship this weekend too. He's down the back. Green flag, that's a signal to get this one underway. So it's Thompson and Perkins. 888 Commodore versus Sonic Falcon, but originally from 888, and it's a great start from Thompson. Look for Percat. He's up the inside, and that's David Russell, who just had to go close to the grass as they all funnel into turn 1.
Perfect start by Andrew Thompson. He got off the line nice and cleanly. He's already stretched a bit of a gap. That's what he'd be focused on now.
Saw in the background there, that was Ash Walsh in one of the Simpro Fords that got a little bit sideways. This is on board with Rodney Jane, the FG model Falcon that won here at Barbagallo with Craig Lowndes a couple of years ago. He was looking back at Tim Blanchard, who has really struggled this weekend, comes into this one second in the championship and has got a lot of work to do as Paul Morris now puts a move on David Russell.
Russell looking for the switchback. If he can get up the inside out of turn 6, he could be half a chance to get Morris back into turn 7.
Thompson leads, Percat second, then it's Jack Perkins, Morris, Russell, Scott McLaughlin, the Fujitsu Ford. Big move here, Ash Walsh down the inside, won't get it done, and very close to Taz Douglas.
Yeah, very lucky not to turn Taz around there. So all these guys will still be on cold tyres. The temperatures will be coming up slowly. Douglas, nice move up the inside on Blanchard.
And there's a bit of irony here because Tim used to work on Taz's car. Thompson stretching that margin, the 888 prepared Commodore. It's an ex-Jamie Whincup chassis from last year. And Percat, the championship leader, driving the Bathurst winning car from 2009. Of course, all of the cars in this field have great history in the championship, but have a look at the start. Jack Perkins really bogged it down. You can see the black marks he left on the grid.
Yeah, a bit too much wheel spin there for Jack and the Super Cheap Falcon. So he'll be disappointed with that start. I know he's been struggling getting this car off the line. And
look
at David Russell. And he just had nowhere to go, unfortunately. So he's traditionally always got fantastic starts. I know that from experience the last couple of years. So good job by him.
Rodney Jane really did get swallowed up at the start. The Fujitsu Series is off and running in the West. More in a sec. Welcome back to Barbagallo Raceway. It's race 1, round 2 in the Fujitsu V8 Supercar Series, and there's been plenty going on while we were away. Tim Blanchard got into the back of Taz Douglas at turn 7, filled the front air dam of the Commodore with heaps of dirt, which Taz left on the road at turn 1. And then Brett Stewart, the local, making his debut in an ex-Paul Morris motorsport car, managed to find the sand. That put out the safety car, and now we're set for a restart with Andrew Thompson set to lead us away. This is a chance for Nick Percat to make a move.
Absolutely right. The field bunch up. A good restart by Percat. Having a look up the inside of Thompson, but he covers into turn 1. So Thompson a bit slow on the restart there. And Aaron, safety cars usually breed safety cars.
And you're right. Just as you say it, Taz Douglas Gets into the side of David Wall. The Wilson Security Commodore is in the sand now. Can he get it out? Yes, he does. That was close. David, the reigning Australian GT champ. They've changed the seat in that car because he's a very tall guy and he was having massive problems at Adelaide, but he's a lot more comfortable now. But Perkins is on the money here. He's putting the pressure on Nick Percat down at turn 6. And what this means is that the Monster Commodore is really getting out of here. Perkins down the inside, looking at some clear air. Percat trying so hard. He was wide at 6. And look who's coming. The dude in green, Paul Morris, sits in 4th as now. Daniel Gillison putting pressure on Blanchard. Whoa, and nearly losing control.
Locked the rear brakes up there right at the end of the stop.
But Blanchard's got damage to that front spoiler. That's clearly from the contact with Taz Douglas earlier.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if... Perkins up the inside of Percat. Percat just wide a bit at the apex of turn 1, and Jack gets the job done nice and cleanly. He'll have his head down now. He'll want to catch Andrew Thompson if he can. But good job. Nice and clean racing. But, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Tim Blanchard gets a drive-through penalty for that contact on Taz Douglas we saw before.
Jack Perkins' car, a former Team Vodafone chassis.
Good job, mate. I reckon Percat's out of tyres. Just drive it nice and straight, eyes forward.
It's the 2008 Bathurst-winning and championship-winning car of Jamie Whincup, and that was Michael Ritter, head of Sonic Motor Racing, just giving Jack a radio update, and it sounds like he expects him to pull away from Nick Percat.
Yeah, that's right. Looks like Percat is struggling a bit for tyres at the moment. Well, as we see, Jack and Paul Morris run wide at the last corner, so the boys are definitely pushing on, but Andrew Thompson's got a handy lead at the moment.
Interested onlooker there, Brad Jones, team co-owner of Team BOC, keeping an eye on who's up to what in the Fujitsu series. Now here's Blanchard taking a drive-through penalty in the Jayco Ford. He struggled this weekend. He missed a gear in qualifying, didn't quite get the lap done, and Percat now just on the ragged edge. The tyres look to be going away on this Walkinshaw Commodore, and he's falling back into the clutches of Paul Morris.
And Aaron, Barbagallo is one of those places where the harder you try, almost the slower you go. It's very hard on the tyres, like we've mentioned. Morris up the inside.
One in the door, 2 in the door. The dude gives Percat a whack, and there was another bit of contact on the exit. Scott McLaughlin, the Fujitsu Ford, will just charge on through, and David Russell has got a chance as well. Morris was in the gap there, but he biffed Percat out of the way.
Yeah, he probably didn't really need to do that. Like, he got up the inside fair and square, and then just, as they both run wide again, up over the curb. So McLaughlin up the inside of Morris into turn 1.
And it's nose to tail into 1. Look at them all get stuck together. McLaughlin's a little bit slow. Percat down the inside, gets it sideways. Morris gets it more sideways and bounces off the Kotai Commodore. So I guess you'd say he's been KO'd.
Wow, the enforcer looking on in the pits there.
Going down, mate. He's on my bumper. Push him into what's her name? It's absolute bull.
Yeah, Paul Morris not too happy.
Yeah, bad luck.
He didn't seem to be so upset with...
No luck about it, mate. The guy just trailed me.
I don't agree.
Yeah.
He roughed up Percat here at turn 6.
Yeah, look, like we said, he got up the inside of him fair and square and then just drove into his door, which there didn't really seem to be any need for that. And then obviously just a bit of a concertina effect into turn 1. McLaughlin was slow up the inside.
And there's damage to the front of Percat's car. It's damaged the front splitter.
And the safety car is out. So that'll be for Morris, stuck in the sand trap on the exit of turn 1.
And I'm sure we'll have a look at this again to try to analyse for you the situation. It really did bank up back towards turn 6 and what happened up there. This was the move. Morris.
So he's actually come from quite a way back there, Aaron. He gets up the inside, bit of contact there, but then doesn't really give him that much room on the exit. See, there's secondary contact there, and then, yeah, these guys are all bottled.
Well, McLaughlin's a little bit slow. They all get nose to tail. They release there. Morris has just gassed it back up, touched Percat, and it looks like it's just running off the road. Percat didn't run him off the road there.
It's sort of unusual for the dude to be on the receiving end of something for a change.
This is with Ronnie Jane. Let's have a look. Percat's at the inside. Morris has lost the rear end and bounced off Percat, so yeah. I don't see why he's so upset. He wasn't wiped out.
No, of course, he's already out in the marbles, offline, so very little grip.
Do you know which car Percat is? Do you know which car Percat is? Certainly do. Certainly do.
Oh, it sounds like there's some payback brewing at Barbagallo. Paul Morris is back on the road. We're under safety car. Andrew Thompson leads the way. Race 1 in the Fujitsu series. Getting set for a restart. It's the first race in the second round of the Fujitsu V8 Supercar Series from Barbagallo Raceway in Perth. And it's Andrew Thompson who leads us away, James Moffat, but very defensively. Jack Perkins is right with him, as is Scott McLaughlin. Nick Percat is in the mix, but Jack Perkins looks strong on this restart.
And that's the second time we've seen Andrew struggle on the restart, so maybe it just takes a lap or so for this 888 Commodore for the tyres to come up. Obviously under safety car, all the temperatures, they cool out. But Jack's looking very racy. He's got the headlights on, and also Scotty McLaughlin in that Fujitsu Falcon. The car's run out of Stone Brothers Racing. He's doing a super job in third.
And he's fresh from finishing off his first year in the NZ V8 Series, where he finished Rookie of the Year and in the top 10 in the championship. Podium runner in Adelaide at the first round of the Fujitsu Series, and a guy who is really impressive. He's only 17 years of age, so mature and doing such a good job. But we jump on board the Super Cheap Auto Bob Jane T-Marts Ford with Jack Perkins. We'll see him in action later in the year. He'll co-drive with Russell Ingall at Phillip Island and Bathurst, and this is the perfect way to get his eye in for those big races.
Exactly right, Noons, and we also saw what the drivers have to contend with here late in the afternoon with the sun. Robert Cregan up the inside, good move there in the Mad Croc Falcon.
And this is a car run by Matt Stone, Jimmy Stone's son, of course, from Stone Brothers Racing. It's Russell Ingall's championship-winning car back from 2005, and doing a great job, the young Irishman. Just his second weekend in the series. He actually qualified in position 11, but went to the back in the first few laps of this race. So that's been a really good fight back as McLaughlin's just zeroing in here now. That's a bit of smoke.
Here.
Yeah, a lot of smoke from the back of...
Yeah.
This is not looking good for Percat.
Hopefully it might just be an oil line or something like that.
It's cleared here on the run over the hill. We'll monitor this situation. Our championship leader, with 6 laps to go, has a smoking Commodore that... there it is. Seems to be
so it's intermittent, that's for sure.
Yeah, not too sure.
Under a bit of load through the corners, and David Russell's right behind him, and he'll be seeing that smoke. And when you see that, when you're the car behind, you don't know exactly what it is, but probably more importantly, he's probably getting oil all over his windscreen.
We've been watching that. I'm not sure if it's fluid. I think it's smoke, but we're just keeping an eye on it at the moment.
And the voice you're hearing there is Frank Lowndes, Craig Lowndes' father, who's the category technical manager for the Fujitsu Series, reporting back to Laurie Schmidt, race director. And by the way that car's sideways, I reckon that's oil on the rear tyres.
Yeah, it's certainly something going on to the rear tyres, that's for sure. And you see Russell's probably just backed off a little bit. He's probably sliding around too on that oil that's coming out of Percat's car. So what I was saying before is hopefully it's just an oil line that's just come loose or something, and Nick can press on to the finish. Only 5 laps to go, so obviously important for him in the championship to still get good points in 4th position.
Now, coming into this weekend, he led the championship by 27 points from Tim Blanchard. So with Blanchard buried in the pack and Thompson up front regaining points, he just needs to last for these last few laps. Here's Markus Sukanovic making the move. He had an engine failure at Adelaide in qualifying, so he didn't even get to the start of either of the races. Qualified 13th, running comfortably now in the top 10. So Thompson leads. Remember, he's 5th in the championship. Perkins 2nd, then McLaughlin, and then Percat. But I think we need to put an asterisk next to this car.
Yeah, definitely right. So it sort of probably looks like the race at the moment is between McLaughlin and Perkins for 2nd. Looks like Thompson's just controlling the gap out front, looking after his tyres. Daniel Gillison doing a good job there in the number 51 car, but this oil issue for Percat...
And that's David Russell.
Yeah, looking at it, mate.
You can hear on the radio. And he's just backed off because he just doesn't want to be on his tail, because you either need to get past that car. Now, this is Paul Morris. He's a couple of laps down.
So and of course, out of the way of the leaders, or is he?
Well, judging by the radio transmission we heard before the break, I reckon he's waiting for Nick Percat. He gets out of the way of McLaughlin, and funnily enough, pulls right in front of Percat. What a shock. Thompson controlling this race. Morris now.
So this is actually a bit disappointing to see, because Nick's in the championship. The dude didn't do the first round and isn't in the championship for the whole year, and he's obviously a little upset with what happened earlier in the race, but
now he gets out of the way, so that's a good job. Let's Russell get on with his race.
Black flag for car 222, please.
Black flag. They're going to bring Percat into the pits, so the championship leader, this could be pivotal. And This round is a 2-race format. There's 150 points for each race win. It's not like a
Black flag to Percat.
It's not like a 3-race weekend, whereas if you're digging F1, you don't lose as many points. This is critical championship stuff.
Exactly right. So Nick will be very disappointed about getting black flag, but you know it is in the rules, and unfortunately sometimes things go that way. So disappointing for him in the Coates Hire team. But here we go. Here's a replay.
This might explain. Turn 7 curve. Oh look, he's run it right over. He straddled it with both wheels either side. There's sparks, so he must have ripped an oil fitting or a line or something underneath that sprayed a bit of oil around, and that's why we saw that smoke. Yeah, there's a lot of things low on these cars, and you know it might have ripped the drain plug out of the gearbox as he comes into pit lane. So unfortunately that's his race done and dusted. And only with a handful of laps left to go. So frustrating for the former Formula 4 champ. Pulls it back. Oh, it looks like they're parking it. Yeah, game over. That's Eric Pender there on the headset, the engineer for this car. Scotty Elms at the passenger door as well. So the day is done for Percat. Rob Crawford, team manager of the Toll Holden Racing team, having a look as well. So we're on the run home in this first race. Tom Tweedy here in front of Tim Blanchard, David Wall, the Wilson Security Commodore, and Aaron Russell. Now, his brother Drew has not started this race. That car would not fire when they went to leave the paddock to go to the grid. So he's on the sidelines and watching as Todd Fiore is next in the queue, one of a range of local drivers in this weekend. Well, Todd's definitely done plenty, his fair share of laps around here, that's for sure. He's a local boy. Won the Formula Ford round here years ago. I was actually his mechanic, so I remember that well. But you're claiming credit, aren't you? Yeah, absolutely. But good to see Flexi staff on his car this weekend. Local company, so Todd's doing a good job. And that's the 2007 Bathurst winning car from Team Vodafone. It was raced for a while by Marcus Marshall, and just behind him, Matt Hansen, driving one of the Greg Murphy Racing Commodores. That's last year's championship winning car, the blue Commodore that you just saw. It was the car that Steve Owen took to the championship. David Wall adapting still to V8 Supercars on a more regular basis. He's the reigning 2-time champion of Porsche in the GT Championship. But Andrew Thompson won the first race on the streets of Adelaide, is fighting back in this championship, and this is the perfect way to do it. Absolutely right. So perfect race for Andrew. We saw on a couple of those restarts that he got challenged a little bit, but here he is into the final corner, so this is a good way to get his championship back on track. He's loving his time with Monster Energy and 888 Race Engineering. Andrew Thompson starts the fight back in the Fujitsu series. He takes race 1. Jack Perkins second, good drive Jack. Scott McLaughlin stunning again in third. Russell fourth. Rodney Jane, great drive to fifth. Gillison, Zukanovic, Chaz Mostert, Robert Cregan, that's a good fight back. The Irishman, who dropped to the tail, has managed to get his way back to position 9. Ash Walsh in the top 10, Taz Douglas 11th, and Tim Blanchard had a shocker 14th after that drive-through penalty. But plenty going on in that first race. Nick Percat heading back to the paddock.
End up really dead, mate.
A bit of a threat from Paul Morris. And a bit of rivalry starting to pick up in the Fujitsu series at the end of this first race of the second round. Let's have a look. This is where it all started, James Moffat. Morris down the inside on Percat, looking for third place. Yeah, so there's a bit of contact there, which is probably, that's racing, but then Morris doesn't really give him that much room on the exit. There's a bit of secondary contact, and this is where it obviously falls over. Yeah, this is a concertina. They're all nose to tail. Percat's up the inside. Morris gets sideways and bounces off Percat. And the dude, well, he's not too happy.
So what happened from your perspective?
He just pushed me through the corner, then pushed me into Scott McLaughlin, and we were both hung up, and he just kept pushing. So I doubt he'll ever finish another Fujitsu Series race if I'm in it.
Nick, there was plenty going on out there. From his perspective, he may have thought there was a bit of aggression earlier on from you. You saw it differently?
I think the only aggression was when he came up the curb and T-boned us at the second to last corner. I'm not sure what his aggression is. There was a little bit of shove at turn 1, but he was at the back of McLaughlin trying to punt him off, I reckon. And then when I was sneaking through on the inside, Dave Russell right up behind me, I was coming through on the inside, and he just tried to turn into my door hard, and then it just fired him off into the wall. So he can think what he wants, and I'll just keep doing what I'm doing and see what happens tomorrow.
But the man without too many dramas is the winner, Andrew Thompson.
Well, Andrew, I'd say you really earned that one.
Yeah, no, we actually had to work for that one. It was started pretty good, but we had a few safety cars, so we had to obviously get bunched back up and have another go, but you know, we sort of got there in the end.
Plenty of intensity in this first race of the championship this weekend. More Fujitsu Series action when we come back.